Hey everybody, we're here with Molly Galbraith from mollygalbraith.com and Girls Gone Strong and J&M Strength and Conditioning. Thanks for sitting down with us, Molly.
Thanks for having me, Chad.
So Molly's got all kinds of stuff going on. As you can tell, she has 3 different websites, so she's like super important. And you know, I think in the time that I've gotten to know Molly, I've been really impressed with your knowledge of corrective exercise. And tell us just what diaphragmatic breathing is, and how you think that can help, you know, strength athletes and just everyday people trying to feel and look better.
Yeah, absolutely. And first, I should not take any credit for this myself. I mean, I know, you know, there are very few new ideas out there. We're always learning from other people. I've gotten a lot of my corrective and diaphragmatic breathing stuff from the guys up at iFast, Bill Hartman and Mike Robertson, and then my mentor and business partner Jim Laird in J&M Strength and Conditioning has been especially integral in taking what Mike and Bill do that is so corrective. I mean, so much of their focus is on the corrective stuff, and bringing it home to what we do at our gym with our everyday clients. Every time I go to a seminar and I come home, I want to change every single thing that we do, because I feel like whatever I've learned at that seminar is so brilliant. And Jim has been really, really great at pulling 1 or 2 pieces out of these new things that we're learning and implementing them into what we do. So over the years we evolve, but nothing ever changes too quickly. But the diaphragmatic breathing stuff is so integral. I've dabbled in powerlifting a little bit. I've done figure. I was a cheerleader and gymnast growing up, and I've always had a really, really weak core, and it's kind of been my weak link in powerlifting and gymnastics and cheerleading. In 2009, I competed, and I benched like 148, squatted 237, and pulled 341. And when I went up to iFast to work with Mike, he's like, "Congratulations, you just pulled 341 pounds with your quads and your low back." And so I had no idea how to use my anterior core. I had no idea how to use my glutes and hamstrings, and all that stuff is kind of tied together. Bill Hartman says respiration is posture and posture is respiration. So if you're not breathing properly, you're not going to be able to get into the right postures to have optimal core function. So the diaphragmatic breathing that we always talk about is circumferential expansion. So often when people breathe, they breathe. They use these kind of accessory muscles to breathe instead of using their diaphragm and breathing properly, and then that kind of forces them into a poor position, what Bill Hartman calls the open scissor position, where the ribs are flared and they have an anterior tilt of their pelvis. So basically their diaphragm is no longer facing their pelvic floor, and so everything that they're doing, not only are they in massive lumbar extension, they're hanging on their spinal erectors, and their anterior core is overstretched and lengthened, and they're not able to use it correctly. So the diaphragmatic breathing that we do, we generally kind of start people in the rock back position. The video that you're going to put up, where Jim and I talk about how to get out of extension, just trying to get people to expand 360 degrees around. This is especially important for powerlifters. Often when they go, and this is something that Jim learned from Bill and that I learned from Jim, when they go to push into their belt, they just push out in the front, and that forces them into massive lumbar extension. And again, so they're using just their spinal erectors, they're not able to use their anterior core. But if they can learn to expand 360 degrees, then they can engage the anterior core and their obliques and their spinal erectors, and they just have like a much more stable middle, which we all know. You know, you've got weight on your back, you're squatting it with your legs. If your core can't handle it, then you're not going to squat the weight. So
yeah, and I think that kind of stuff can be so valuable for the powerlifter, strongman, Olympic lifter, because I mean that's like the true definition of like training smarter, not harder. You know, because so many guys are already strong enough. If they could just learn how to do this or fix some mobility issues, they'd just be able to put themselves into such a stronger position posturally that they wouldn't necessarily even need their muscles to be stronger to be able to support a heavier weight. And so besides the value that diaphragmatic breathing and corrective exercise could have for the strength athlete, you recently created a product with Jim and with Mike Robertson called Boot Camp in a Box. And you know, those boot camp classes are like so popular everywhere, and so often they're just about, you know, how bad can they kick your ass. Right. You know, and I think you guys do a great job of bringing a very thoughtful approach to boot camp training. So just going to tell everyone a little bit about Boot Camp in a Box.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jim and I have J&M Strength and Conditioning in Lexington, Kentucky. We've had our business for a little bit under 3 years, and in less than 2 years, we've moved from renting space at a local gym to having our own 7,500 square foot facility. And the reason is because we give people what they need to get the results that they want. So what 90% of people want when they walk in our door is to look better and feel better. People don't come to us because they want to, I mean, they come to us because they want to compete in powerlifting, but they're not trying to do our boot camp classes. So most of the people who come to us for boot camp or group training just want to look good and feel good. And we always say the formula for that is lifting weights 2 to 3 times a week, walking, good nutrition, managing your stress. These boot camp classes, people just want to go there to look better and feel better, and they get put through, Bud's Navy SEAL boot camp, and it's like, how hard can we destroy these people? Or they come in and they've been doing P90X. Well, when you're done with P90X, how much longer can you train? How much harder can you train? How much more often? How much more, you just can't. There's nowhere to go from there. And so what we've done with Boot Camp in a Box, instead of having it just be this randomized approach where you're run over there, do a burpee, high five your partner, jump up and down, everything we do has a purpose and a progression. And it's setting you up to do something else down the road. So the way that we structure our classes is they're about 50 minutes long. People come in a few minutes early and they foam roll or do some soft tissue mobilization. We start with 10 breaths in that rock back breathing position. We might breathe for about 2 or 3 minutes. We'll put them through a really good dynamic warm-up, kind of get the chest opened up, get the hips opened up, get the glutes firing. Then we might put them through some movement prep exercises. We might have them pull through or kind of reinforce the hinge position or the squat pattern, or get the scapula to glide properly over the rib cage. We might have them do some of that, and then they typically go into the strength training portion. We'll squat, we'll deadlift, we'll row, we'll press, we'll do all the main movements that you should be doing. We'll do split squats, we'll lunge, we'll resist rotation, do those types of exercises. Then we typically go into more of a conditioning type portion of the class. Some of our classes are more strength training based, some are more conditioning based, some have a good mix of the two, and then some are just recovery. About once or twice a month, we will have people come in the door and they will literally foam roll for 20 minutes. They'll use the stick on one another. They'll use the lacrosse ball to get into their chest, their back, bottoms of their feet. And about 30 minutes of the class will be them focused on recovery and breathing. And then we might do, 5 to 10 minutes of intense conditioning. So they're coming in and getting what they need, but then we're letting them leave with that feeling of what they want, which is the good workout. Like Brandon was talking about in his talk earlier, we always want people to leave with a quarter in the tank, because if you go on E, if you go physically bankrupt, it's that much harder to get back and get to feeling good. So we created Boot Camp in a Box. It started out because I was going to write an article for Mike Robertson's site, kind of about how we structure our boot camp training, because we do use the corrective model in our boot camp, but people still have a good time and get a great workout, and a lot of people don't think that you can mesh the two. But I was going to write this article for a site, and it just got longer and longer and longer, and finally I was like, we could turn this into a product and help a lot of people. So we launched Boot Camp in a Box last month. It's been wildly successful. So if you do any kind of group training, group exercise, or even if you just train individuals, Boot Camp in a Box really lets you get into our head and see how we program, how we think, what we do with our clients. And not only that, but if you're a trainer, especially in group classes, you're always going to have to modify. You're going to have to modify on the fly, and you're going to have to make things harder, and you're going to have to make things easier for people. So we go through the different ways that you can do that in terms of, changing the load, changing the volume, changing the time under tension, changing the density, all the different ways. People always think to make something harder, they always have to add load, but that's not always true. You can make things more difficult or easier by changing all those different variables. And we have a DVD. I'm demonstrating about 80 different exercises, so you can see, to make things easier, again, you're going to have regressions and you're going to have progressions. And if you don't know what those are ahead of time, and you have a room full of 20 people that you're coaching, and you have 2 or 3 people that can't do something, you're going to need to be able to know immediately what you're going to regress them to and how you're going to change that exercise. So if you have your progressions and regressions mapped out already, then you can do that. You can say, okay, you know, you can't goblet squat, you're going to bodyweight box squat. Or, okay, you're struggling with the pull through, we'll take you back to a broomstick RDL, or whatever you're doing to change the exercise for them. And so if you don't want to spend the time coming up with your regressions and progressions, you can use ours, which we think are really good. And again, we go through squat variation, hinge variation, pushing, pulling, core work. We talk about like our warm-up, different sled dragging variations and conditioning things that we do. So yeah, so Boot Camp in a Box is awesome. A lot of people have bought it, so your competitor might have bought it in your town, so you should get it so that they're not going to be ahead of you, because this really is the wave of the future, giving people what they need to get the end result of what they want, which is look good and feel good.
And they can get that at bootcampinabox.com?
Yeah, they can get that at bootcampinabox.com. So.
And for anyone who has Facebook or Twitter and doesn't live under a rock, they probably already like Girls Gone Strong, which is Molly and then her friends Nagar Fanuni and Allie McKee, and they're doing tons of awesome stuff for women's fitness, changing the way that women train. And see, I know.
Yeah. We're the authority on female fitness.
So you know, super popular GGS, Girls Gone Strong. What's on the horizon for that in the next couple months?
Oh gosh. Well, Girls Gone Strong, like Chad said, we came together to change the way that women think about training and to change kind of the landscape, to put really good information out there about females and training. We talk about nutrition, we talk about training, we talk about lifestyle, we talk about how being physically strong can translate into emotional strength and to mental strength. So it's a really all-encompassing kind of idea. We've got some seminars on the horizon. We've got a product coming out. We've got apparel. We've got all kinds of stuff. So check out girlsgonestrong.com, and you can keep up with us that way. Subscribe to our newsletter. If you subscribe to the newsletter, you get 99 weightlifting tips for real women and a recipe book. So you get both of those for free as our gift. And if you sign up for our newsletter, you know, you can keep up to date with what's going on with Girls Gone Strong. So.
All right. Well, thanks a ton, Molly, for sitting down and talking with me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you guys can learn more about Molly at mollygalbraith.com, girlsgonestrong.com, and Jay.